Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum to all, and welcome back with another amazing episode of the Future Jobs Podcast Show. I'm your host, Fahad JobsWala, and I'm student and interview captain at Rehan School Online Academy. So, welcome back with another amazing episode of the Future Jobs Podcast Show, where we always invite amazing individuals, extraordinary individuals from all over the world, and we try to uncover their super inspiring life journeys that shape our industries, that motivates my listeners, like you, and it gives a better context to how to live our life betterly, how to live our life in a more better way. And I believe in lifelong learning. I believe in my viewers too that they also believe in lifelong learning. So what we do here, we try to bring the guests life challenges, and we try to get some lessons from it. So we have a very special guest today, uh, RaeJ Johnson. We have a very special guest
Hello.
today, RaeJ Johnson. RaeJ Johnson is a dynamic host of the Wisdom to Win podcast, a show dedicated to empowering individuals to harness their inner wisdom and create the life they truly desire. As a podcaster, radio, and TV personality, RaeJ brings a wealth of experience in coaching, achieve personal growth, and entrepreneur success. The Wisdom to Win podcast delves into topics such as health, wealth, relationships, and personal development, offering listeners practical insights and strategies to foster growth in every area of life. In one notable solo episode, Ray J passionately discusses financial priorities, challenging listeners to consider their spending habits and encouraging investment in long term wealth over short term indulgences. Through engaging conversations and thought provoking monologues, RaeJ Johnson inspires her audience to unlock their potential and pursue a life of purpose and fulfillment. I believe her main focus is the same where we at, like empowering listeners, motivating other people's. I believe this truly makes a huge impact. So hi RaeJ, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Wow, that introduction, I was like, who is he talking about? It's nice to meet you, Fahad. Thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate the opportunity to come to you and your audience and hopefully share some wisdom to win.
Amazing. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to explore your wonderful life journeys. So RaeJ, could you tell us more about yourself? The introduction I gave, it's not enough about you. You still have a lot, in you. So could you tell us how did you ended up starting your own podcast and further about yourself?
So, thank you so much for that question. I started out with a friend who invited me to be a co-host with him in radio. And he actually was a student first of mine. I was a young counselor, counseling at a college. And I was introduced to him by a friend we have in common. And so when he came to me, I introduced him to someone that was a veteran in the media world. And he was mentored by this individual for a number of years. He was already in radio himself. And when he ventured off and decided that he wanted to have his own show with a co-host, he came back to me. His name is Dallas Jameson, and asked me if I would be his co-host. So my given name is Renee, and the nickname is Ray. And so we were trying to find a name that would resonate with everyone, that they would remember, that sounded kind of like a radio personality name. And we came up with Ray J. Now, because there is a Hollywood celebrity by the name of Ray J, we didn't want to confuse one Ray J with the other. So I became Lady RaeJ since he was the man RaeJ. And Tamika Chanel, who is a guest we had on one of our shows, is the one that know both RaeJs. And she said, "You're the Lady RaeJ." So that's how we ended up getting that name. Moving forward, I have worked in AM radio, FM radio, internet radio, and internet radio came about in the early 2000s, and I hit it kind of midway in the 2000s. So before it was a thing to do, I was on internet radio, and I decided that we could do more. So we ended up turning our radio show into an on the road show, and that on the road show got seen by so many people that we streamed through Facebook. We were invited to go to the network ABC and actually do a television show. So, along with that, podcasting also happened, and we had a lady by the name of Miss B, we affectionately call her, and she is located in Virginia. She had a program called Storm Talk 365, and that is where our podcast journey, I should say, started. Um, let's fast forward to this year. I met a young lady by the name of Kay Suther, who is the first Indian British woman with her own podcast agency, who was acknowledged for a book by the late Queen herself, and the book is in the Royal Palace. And when I met this young woman, I learned that she was doing podcasts and managing and had all of the new bells and whistles of podcasts that I knew nothing about, as we call it, the OG of podcasts. So I decided, I think I want my message of what I have experienced over time to come to light to help women who are 50 and older that may be experiencing after decades of marriage, divorce, and feeling lost, displaced, unhappy, and no longer having confidence in their prior passions. They needed a supportive system and a systematic way to find clarity and joy again in their life. And that's why the Wisdom to Win podcast was born. And I started learning that it has evolved into even more. So, more of the wealth learning, in addition to the personal growth, came more to the forefront for me in this. And that's why I wanted to really continue this. And that's something you will find on your journey as well, is that your podcast should evolve and you should start to see other things that you may want to incorporate. So rebranding it is something that's just part of the natural flow of the podcast coming into its own.
It's really wonderful, Raji, the way you described yourself. It was just really amazing. You met two ladies all along your journey, and they both were very relevant with your field. One of those Indian British had the podcast agency, which was like truly relevant with your field. So Ray J, it was amazing. How did you chose the podcasting field for yourself? So how did you ended up giving the name Wisdom to Win? How did you chose this name? It's really wonderful and it excites me the most.
Well, one of the things that I learned from Kay is that you should have a podcast that has at least three names, three words. And it's a little secret sauce, especially when your podcast is on YouTube, which mine is also on YouTube, as well as all of the podcast platforms to listen to. And the name should have podcast at the end so that people make no mistake about what it is that they're looking or listening to. I decided to come up with Wisdom to Win because over the years, and I may not look like it, but I'm 61 years old. And over the years, I have a little bit of wisdom to share. I put the Z in the word wisdom because I was thinking of the wizard, having the magic, having all of the little secret tips and treasures to bring about the dreams and desires that people may want to experience, and having them to know that they're also drawing on the knowledge base of wisdom. So it was a twofold thing for me to pick the word wisdom. And because that was out there in other ways, but not with the Z, which that kind of helped me with wizard, um, I decided to pick wisdom to win, because when you learn better, you hope that you will do better. And that's coming through wisdom. So you're a winner.
Exactly. And this is what it is all about, in podcasting, what we do, we invite guests and they share their wisdoms with us. And maybe one of those wisdom could help someone in their lives to be a successful person. Who knows? And we podcasters are very dedicated, and I know it's much difficult. It could be very, difficult for you as well, because I've been doing this for 1 year, and it really contains a lot of efforts, a lot of struggles. You're more professional than me, so yeah.
Well, let me just say, Fahad, all of us have been on the struggle bus when it comes to podcasting and anything in media. It's going to be messy. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be perfect and polished. Anything that you do, you're going to learn, you're going to stumble. Even as a child, you had to stumble before you even crawled, and then you had to stumble when you try to stand, and then you stumbled when you tried to walk. But the best thing about it is you got to run, and that was because you allowed yourself naturally to stumble along the way. And as you do, you get stronger. You find out what your talents and abilities are, and the ones that you don't have, you either learn or you get someone else to assist you that already has those talents and abilities. So it's not so much congratulations, first of all, that you've been into podcasting for a year. You have not given up. That's a good thing. You deserve to be celebrated for that. And I have been podcasting probably since 2000, I want to say 16, 2015. So it's been a little longer for me, and I'm still learning because things are still changing. And if you don't change so that you can grow, you kind of die out in that area. So change is good because growth is good.
Wonderful. Congratulations, RaeJ, as well for you. It's been a lot of years. I born in 2010, and when I was 5 or 6 years old, and you were like conducting your podcast episodes. It's just really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, you were just a little babe. That
Yeah, I
just
exact.
shows how old I am.
No, I didn't mean that.
Oh, I didn't take
Yeah,
it that way. I'm just teasing you.
thank you. So, you often speak about winning after divorce. What was the turning point in your own life when you realized you were meant to help other women reclaim their power?
Well, I realized that a running thing that had started to take place was restore, renew, and just revive what was going on in my life. Um, I ended up suffering with stage 3 cancer that metastasized and went into my lymph nodes. Now, if you know anything about biology or remember anything about biology, the lymph nodes are all over your body. You have lymph nodes everywhere. So for this cancer to have spread into my lymph nodes, everything started on the left side. It was aggressive. And as I was losing my health, um, I had someone that I was married to that decided that they wanted to forfeit those rights of marriage and go live and do something different with someone else. And this was during the course of me going through my cancer battle. I had an employer who decided that because I was still trying to work while I was starting treatment, that the clients I had should not know that I was sick and I was working with women that had experienced domestic violence. And a lot of them were in women's shelters. Well, I couldn't risk catching colds and things of that nature from the kids that were there, the families that was there. So I had to wear a mask and I had to explain to them not to stigmatize them, but to let them know I was protecting myself. And a lot of times when people are unhoused, as they say, or homeless, when you do things, they feel like it's a direct hit at them. So I wanted these women to know that this had nothing to do with them, but me protecting myself. And I had someone that was my supervisor that did not like the fact that now my clients felt like they had to take care of me when I was supposed to take care of them. So she wanted to release me from my job. But she didn't want to do it until I found another job, which she knew that that was not going to happen because I was in treatment and I was going to get weaker and weaker. So I had all of this adversity to happen to me, literally, Fahad, in 1 week, the same week this took place. And this was like October of 2012. So losing my own home because my then husband would not pay the mortgage. I was losing income. I had a son in college and a senior in high school. And I just knew as a parent, I had to do everything I could to try to keep their life normal while I was going through this adversity. As I went through this adversity, it was difficult to prove to physicians and resource services that I did not have resources because I was married on paper. And when you're married on paper and you're on insurance of somebody else, they just feel like you should have the resources, not when those resources are being kept from you. And that was the one thing that drove me into making sure that no other woman had to suffer this without support. I have a very, very tiny family. The majority of my ancestors, my older adults, had passed away. So my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, my godfather, those people, godfather that I looked to help and support me were gone. And I found myself, I extended my family through church members of mine. So I had very few church members that were there for me, but they were there for me. And I knew that there had to be a better way. I should not have had to stumble into support. I should have already had that. And I saw that around me, but I knew I wasn't the only person that had gone through adversity and not had the support base that I needed. So I needed some yes people around me. And I wanted to be that yes person for others that may be going through this. I knew out of all the people in the world, I could not be the only person that had experienced this. So, to keep anyone else from doing so, I wanted to bring about through this podcast and even through the radio shows when I had the shows on that there are other people and resources. And I wanted to introduce them to these other wonderful people that has so much to share and say so that they can have a resource bank always at their fingertips tips. So the internet and Facebook and Instagram really became very pivotal and very important to me being able to get the word out.
Okay, great. Um, your story is a bit emotional as well. Like you lost everything, almost everything, but you were still trying to make your children's life normal. Like you were trying to feel them that they are not alone. They are, you know, just living their normal life, as they do normally. So you didn't give up. The best thing is that you didn't give up. You didn't lose your motivation there. You were still had a lot of hopes with yourself that you can make it, and you finally made it. So RaeJ, you host the radio show, you host the podcast. You started this in 2015 or 2016 something, as you just mentioned. So how did the podcasting help you in those days when you were struggling?
Because the podcast is heard by so many people, and I made it video before it was even a podcast on YouTube option by going live. Back in the day, you used to have to earn the button for lives on Facebook. This was even before they started Instagram. And Facebook owns Instagram. So before Instagram became another leg of Facebook, you had to earn the button to go live in Facebook, to live stream anything. And one of my podcast mates that was in Virginia, he was doing ministry on his podcast. And Minister Raleigh Thornton told me that I had to produce enough content for Facebook to feel that I had something valuable to share with the community. And I would post our shows, I would post pictures. There was a little app that had come about that you could do to create videos out of still pictures, and it helped to enhance the advertisement part. So the marketing part of me kind of came up in that way. And because I posted so much stuff, I earned the live button. So I was real excited. It happened one day when I was in the studio. And as a result of that, I realized then that people all over the world now could have access to the information we wanted to share. So that's why the podcasting also became so invaluable, because it wasn't just local, it was able to be accessed from everywhere. And that way you talk to people that you may not ever meet, but they had an opportunity to learn from you, to have hope that you brought to them, to be inspired, to be motivated because of the guests that you had or the topics that you talked about. And it would resonate with them. And they would say, "That's me." Or, "I know exactly what he means." Or, "I've been there. I'm so glad someone else gets me." And so having the podcast and being able to communicate that out to the world and become global, like you're in Pakistan. This is the first time that I've talked to anyone in Pakistan. So I'm so stoked and excited about being able to be on your podcast and share my story in the hopes that it brings joy and hope and inspiration to someone else.
Wonderful. And it is the 200 second time when I'm talking to an American. So I've talked to a lot of Americans, a lot of US based peoples, and I know a lot of things, about you. You are just very kind and amazing people. Whenever I invite, any of the American, I just get very satisfied from you, satisfied from each and every guest I invite from America, because you are punctual with your time. You're very kind, and all that. I don't have words to describe
Aw,
all these things. And
thank you.
yeah, thank you. So, what are the
It's my pleasure. I was drawn to you right away when you messaged me. And I was like, "Who is this?" And you explained, and then I went to your page and I saw that you were working with your students. And I love the fact that you were educating them on how to do this. And so it just really touched my heart. I've had young people in my radio station before, in my internet radio station before, and even on set when we were doing our television show. I've had young people around me on the red carpet. There is a Hollywood producer director named Dan Stedman who was introduced to me by a young man that I saw had potential, and he wanted to do a movie short. And so I invested in his project with him. His name is Moses Weathers, and Moses and I put together a little film short that was entered into the Black Film Festival locally in Missouri at the time in St. Louis, and we won second place. And his film was shown at one of the local universities, Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri. And so from there, he's gone on to do some commercials and movies in Hollywood. And it's all thanks to Dan Stedman, who had me to be his red carpet interviewer. My friend Dallas, I told you about earlier, he has a beautiful voice. And so I actually coached him a little bit on voiceovers, and he did a voiceover in the movie. So these experiences have just given me such a blessing to be able to touch the lives of so many, and especially the young people, because I'm happy to know that long after I'm gone, this can continue and that we have.
Can you hear me? Oh, she's back again. Can you hear me?
I'm here. I was like, what happened?
So, was that in your end or at my end?
No, that I don't know where the glitch happened. You gotta love technology. And the thing is that when you do this stuff live, live is live, but when you record it, it gives you an opportunity to kind of edit and kind of put it together so it's seamless. So that's one of the recommendations too, is it's cool when you do a live, but sometimes technology will give you a little surprise and you can't sometimes recover from those surprises. So recording is so much better, not to make it perfect, but just to help with some of those glitches that may happen, like what we just said, because it seemed like I was ending the broadcast and I wasn't.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much, Ray. Sorry, Ray J. It was a really great advice. And thank you so much, Ray J, for giving me your precious and valuable time for the podcast. It just slipped my mind. You have another podcast show. All the best
Yeah.
for that as well. Uh,
Yes, that has started, but I'm good. I'm good. I let them know that I had something to do today with you, so they're giving me a little grace, but it is time.
really, really sorry for that. I didn't, um, mean to take your a lot of time that you can
No,
that
you're
your
fine. It's
podcast
fine.
start. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, viewers and listeners, for watching this podcast. Inshallah, meet you soon with an amazing podcast with an amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself.